Hey guys, Jerry Green here today. So the video I want to share today is about what makes a good COO in the REI business. So let's think about this. So if I think about this and go back in time. So you guys remember, now I started in this business in 1994. And when I started in this business in 1994, I didn't know anything. I was this as my old buddy Ron LeGrand would say, I was dumber than a box of rocks. What's interesting though, as we move forward on things, obviously I learned a bunch about every area of the business because I'd done it all. And also learned some things that I was not good at whatsoever at all. The things that I sucked at, which I come to find out that I probably suck at probably close to 90% of things, and I'm only good in that 10% of things. But that's okay. I've learned that and I accept that, and I'm cool with that. It's funny how many people are so driven off their ego about I'm so good at this, so good at that, and it's like really all you need to be good at is just a small area, and then you're good at that, you master that, you become better than anybody else, right? With that said, part of this thing that I started experiencing was I was limited to what I could do myself. So obviously as my business grew a little bit more and I started getting to the point where I started looking at bringing some other people in, I decided to, okay, I'm going to bring somebody in to be more of a office manager type person. This is a long time ago. This is, this is probably around, it was early 2000 range. So I bring somebody else in that is coming in to work with me in the company, okay? So what I want you to understand was when I got to this point, I was in a position where I was just very frustrated because I was doing everything, like say, within the business. And I was pulling my hair out, I was going this direction, and I had to figure out a way that I could be in a position where I could start removing myself some. So I just said, okay, great, I'm just going to start marketing for somebody. So I basically looked like for somebody to be an office manager. So I had somebody come in and apply for the job, and I had several other people, and then next thing you know I had 3 or 4 different candidates, and this is back in the early 2000 range. And then what happened was I had this one lady come in, I thought, well, she sounds like a great candidate. And she was, she seemed to have a lot of background and working with, in an office. She actually worked for a large property management company and managed all the rental properties for them, or was a big portion of the team. So, and I was just looking at just the skill side. Okay, now get this, okay? So I said, great. She sounds like a great fit, and I'm just going to bring her in on the skill side of things. So I brought her in and made her part of the team. So, and guys, I didn't have anything to compare this to. I didn't have any measurement whatsoever at all. I didn't really have any KPIs back then. I didn't have any type of accountability chart or I didn't know anything about that stuff at all. I just thought, okay, she had some skills, I'm gonna bring her in, and I just needed some help. It was kind of the warm body thinking. Okay, and that worked for a little while, but here's what happened, guys, is I started realizing that, after a period of time, this was after many years, and I'm sharing this with you guys because listen to me on this. This is where I made big mistake of putting the wrong person in the wrong box, okay? And it was a big issue for me because what I did is I brought this person in and I turned around and put him in this position, and it took me almost 12 years. I think it was actually 12 years. And that's the amount of time I invested in the money I put into this person. And the next thing you know, it all bit me in the ass. But what happened, guys, was I was in the position where I was constantly working with this person. I was constantly putting tons of energy into them, constantly trying to work with them. But here's what was happening, guys. They were never fully in the way of, they never took on full ownership. It was only partial ownership. Now, this is something I see a lot of. So it's like when they send an email out to somebody, it was like an email to a client or something. And I can't blame anybody but myself because I put up with it. And I created this monster on things. But it would be in a message going out to somebody and to say, Jerry said to do this. Jerry said to do this. Oh, Jerry said this. And it was never about them saying something, never about them approving something. It was always about Jerry. So literally, if you think about it, they were in a position where they were really just a glorified assistant. They really weren't in that general manager position. They really weren't an office manager type person. It was all made up in my head because everything was coming back to me. So, and that became very frustrating. And after 12 years of doing this and wearing me down to the point where all decisions came to me. And again, I don't have anybody to blame but myself. So I'm talking about this, but at the same time, I want you to realize that I'm the one that made the decision to hire the person. I'm the one that made the decision to keep the person. I'm the one that made the decision to allow the management to go that way. I'm the one that allowed everything to come back to me in reverse management, and all that for many years. But then I realized one day, it was a major awakening, that I had built this big business. I think I had, I don't know, 15, 16 people, maybe more working for me. Multiple rehabs going on, multiple project managers, but it was all about Jerry. And I realized that has to change. And I realized that I'm not really in, if you think about it, I was in a position where, yes, I had this big team, but I really didn't have a true business. What I had was a team of followers that were waiting for me to basically give them some type of command at any point in time. And not until I got to the point where I basically almost had a mental breakdown and I said, this is it, I got to stop it. And it was affecting my marriage and everything else, and I basically cut it off and realized I had to stop this craziness. And then what I realized, guys, was the person I had brought in was never a fit for that box. And a lot of you might be doing this right now where you're trying to groom somebody that is not able to be groomed because they truly don't want it. They don't have that capability. They don't have the ownership. They're not the A player. And it was always excuse, excuse, excuse. It was always blame, 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 blame. So I had to step up and I had to get rid of people. And then I had to make a big shift on things. And when I did, guys, what I started doing is I started looking and bringing people in that were truly wanting it, truly willing to take on ownership. And when I did this, guys, this is when I started noticing the difference. And what a lot of you might know now that my Ashley, my COO now, you know, has been with me now for 8+ years. And what happened on that is I started realizing what really makes a good quality CEO for the REI business. And here's something, guys, just for time-wise, I want you to realize, is it is hard to bring somebody else in from the outside right into this business. Now, I'm not saying it's not impossible, but to bring them in as a COO is a really tough side of things, because, it's totally different, guys, than a lot of other businesses out there. You see this all the time. You know, let's say, hey, let's hire a COO for our company, and they bring somebody else in from a third party or, you know, outside of the company itself. That's a tough thing, because what happens is our business is so unique, and the way the moving parts are, and you got to understand so much. You can't just take the normal big corporate structure that a lot of COOs are used to and bring that into our small business and in the REI space. It's tough to do. So what I've learned is that really maximize your results on this if you can bring somebody in and groom them along the way, not give them the title of COO, bring them in as maybe a manager, maybe bring them in as assistant manager, then take them up to general manager, and just kind of groom them along, because ultimately the best COOs, okay, and how you really get the good COO for the REI business is to make sure that they have experienced every seat within your organization. And if they can experience every seat within your organization, then you're going to get someone that really, truly understands the roles and also understands the true operational side of the business. That's the person that will excel. That's the person that will really take the business to another level. So how do you really find a good COO? I think it starts inward first. And if you don't have somebody already on your team to be able to do that, you bring somebody in, but you don't bring them in a COO role. You bring them in a lower role and then start grooming them. And it takes some time to do this, guys. It's not an overnight thing. So I hope this tip really helps you out, guys, because I've seen it happen. I've seen this a lot of real estate investment companies bring people on the outside and it not work. Doesn't mean it won't work, but I just want to tell you from personal experience, this is what I've seen, and I recommend this to my students all the time too. So do me a favor, guys, comment down below if you enjoyed this clip today, and then also, guys, subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.